There are issues facing the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services. Children are dying despite already being on the agency's radar. And tonight, Kimberly Eiten takes a close look at the problem and joins us now ahead of her special report. Thanks for being here, Kimberly.
Thank you for having me.
I know we've been talking about it. I look forward to the report tonight, but what are some of the questions that it looks to answer?
Well, as you said, we have seen in this very extensive report, you guys can see how large this report is, from the Office of the Inspector General on DCFS, that, as you said, children in Illinois who have in some way been connected to DCFS are dying. 123 kids died in 2019. Those aren't all homicide cases, those aren't all child abuse cases, but they are kids who were in some way connected to DCFS. So tonight at 10 o'clock, we are going to look into one of those cases that happened here in central Illinois, but also the repeat problems that we've seen that are similar to that case and the issues with DCFS. We know that they are understaffed, we know that they are underfunded, but what people might not realize is that the system has made a huge shift in the last couple of decades that is significantly affecting their workforce and creating a whole domino effect of other things that the Inspector General herself calls failures.
Now, you mentioned one of the local cases that your report is going to look into. What led you to taking on the story?
You and we both covered this case. It is, it's a heartbreaking case.
Yeah.
There's no other word for it. An 8-year-old girl, Rika Roundtree, you probably recognize the name. She was kicked to death by her father's then girlfriend, and there is no way that you can cover this case and not be in some way affected by it. And the fact of the matter is that in going through these 384 pages in this report, Rika is not alone. There are other kids, other cases that are so similar to hers, and unfortunately she's one of the victims here in central Illinois, but this is a larger problem and we wanted to take a deeper look at it.
You mentioned over 300 pages in that report alone. When we produce these stories for air, you can only make them so long. So is there anything that is not in your report that you also found interesting in the course of your investigation?
It's something we're going to follow up on. This report, it looks at a lot of the problems here and problems that we've seen before, and as I mentioned, we look at the larger systemic issues that have changed over time, but we are going to follow up with our local lawmakers because there has been a budgetary change. In 2020, DCF is going to get a little bit more funding. They are able to add 300 staff members, but we need to ask our lawmakers what comes next, because in this report, it's very clear that this has to be a series of policy changes and not just throwing a little bit of money at the problem, because when we're talking 300 workers, there are tens of thousands of kids in the system. So what does that mean for DCFS? Any little bit helps, of course, but how are 300 workers really going to make a dent in this huge caseload that the department is dealing with?
Special report tonight, 10 o'clock on WMBD. I know I'm looking forward to watching it, and hopefully you will join us to see what Kimberly has been digging into as of late.
Thank you,
Kimberly.
Gene.